So Tamara Salmen, our National
Yes.
Coordinator in Venezuela. Thank you for joining us. It's very good to see you again. And tell us a little bit about the painting just behind you.
This painting is
That's
drawn by a Venezuelan artist. She's living now in Barcelona, and it's called Stillness. Although it doesn't look like the leaves are still, but I loved it. It's so colorful, and for the meaning of the stillness itself.
And growth, a lot of growth.
Yeah.
Richness. Well, I think that's the meaning of stillness too. So Tamara, I wanted to speak to you about your own journey of meditation and also your role and your service of the meditation community in Venezuela, because basically I think it's important for us as a community to know what you're feeling in Venezuela, the very tragic and ongoing trauma that the country as a whole society has been going through. It's been, I think, 2 or 3 years since I was there, but I think things have degenerated a great deal since then. So I wanted to really give us the opportunity to listen to you, to speak about what's happening, and to help us to feel, connected with you, and for you to feel connected to the community around the world. But first of all, maybe you could just tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do and where you live in this stillness,
Okay.
frame of stillness, and just tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Well, first of all, I'm a mother of 2. I'm married, a mother of 2. One is 23 and the other one is 19, boys. They're not here, they're studying abroad. I'm a pediatrician and I work in behavioral and developmental pediatrics. Actually, I've been practicing for the last 22 years only in this subspecialty. In end of June or July 2015, I was at the parish taking something. I don't remember if it was a donation, something. And it came by someone I knew because I gave a talk at the women's prison here in Caracas. They told me to give them a talk about anxiety. It seems that they were all suffering from panic attacks and something like that. So she said hello to me and told me, why don't you come to the meditation group that takes place here at the parish? I said, I've never heard of that. She said, and aren't you going to Laurence Freeman's talk? He's coming next week and he's going to be talking, he's going to be here in Caracas giving a few talks. I said, I never heard of him either. So I said, well, I'll give you all the coordination, everything. So this is the first time I met you. I saw you at that talk here close by where I live in Altamira. And something you said, Father Laurence, that just struck me. When you said, and I always repeat this, when you said meditating is very similar or is like about the first beatitude. I don't know how to say it in English exactly, you know it better, but once you said that it's all about detachment, and when you are with God, I mean, with your inner self, that is
poverty. I'll tell you, I'll remind you.
Poverty, yes, say it, because I know it in Spanish. Please say it.
Poverty of spirit.
Exactly.
And I think there are certain moments in life, not every moment, I think.
No.
But certain moments in your life where the idea or the concept of poverty of spirit becomes deeply attractive and fascinating. Sometimes for inexplicable reasons, but
Well, this is something that really started in Spanish. Bienaventurados los pobres de espíritu, de ellos será el reino de los cielos. When you said that, I think I didn't hear or listen to anything else. It kept, really, I said, wow, this is it. I mean, this is what I'm going to, this is the way. I've been always, a practicing Catholic. First of all, I wasn't raised in a religious family. My mom was Christian, never went to church. My father wasn't even Christian. He was Druze. This is a completely different religion. We can talk about it someday. But since he didn't know how to transmit us what his religion was about, we were always in Catholic schools or Roman Orthodox schools. I mean, but all Christians, whatever. So when I heard that, I said, well, this is probably something that I have to try. So I started meditating by myself during that year, 2015, looked for information at the WCCM site. And on January 2016, I joined for the first time the community, the group that was meditating at the parish I used to go. And here I am.
Thank you.
At the beginning, I wasn't disciplined, of course.
Well, don't worry, that you're not the only person who's not disciplined at the beginning. I wasn't very disciplined either at the beginning. But I think in those 6 years, you and the community in Venezuela and Venezuelan society have gone through a lot of challenges. Could you just tell us how meditation has, or how it did become part of your life to the extent that you have taken on a way of serving the other meditators in Venezuela as a coordinator and position of leadership and service.
Yes.
But how did that happen? How did that practice develop for you? Because even in those at that time, particularly there was
Yes.
real professional and I'm sure personal challenges because of the social situation.
Of course. I at that time we had to deal with all the scarcities we were having during that time. I mean, no food. You could see people eating on the streets from the garbage. Whole families, mom, dad, and little kids, they're all looking for food in the garbage. Sometimes you can even go out of your house and you would see in front of you in the parking, all the garbage that you threw away, people would be looking for something to eat. I mean, that was really, really heartbreaking to witness all that just in front of you. I mean, it isn't something that you will be seeing away from the city, or it's everywhere. We were having very, very too many scarcities and like food in terms of medications, all that kind of things. The protests started to be happening on a weekly basis. I was actively participating with everyone. I mean, all the civil society will go out and just say, we don't want you, we don't want this, we are protesting. I can tell you how many times we swallowed tear gas. I can tell you how many times. I mean, too many friends were imprisoned, they were taken away. I mean, people, they were tortured. Even my son, who was only by that time 15 to 16 years old, he would come with us because he felt that he had to do it too. With that same time, I was dealing with a very, very hard lesson for me in life. That was detachment. That's why it struck me so much when you talked about it. My first son left home. He went to college abroad. And for me, it was very difficult. I mean, I can tell you that I was sometimes putting on my contact lenses in the morning, and I couldn't do it because tears would come out of my eyes, and I would be, it was a very, very difficult lesson for me. And I have to tell you that meditation was the only thing that could calm down all this anxiety that I was feeling, and be so close, and I always felt him close to me, but now I felt him even closer to God. That definitely made a difference, to the point that I started meditating with my own patients. I started seeing 8 years old with panic attacks. I started seeing 7 years old with separation anxiety, which is an age that you're not supposed to be anxious from separating from your mom or your dad. But the situation was so difficult here. People started emigrating, people started fleeing the country. There are more than 4 million Venezuelans that flew the country from that day till now. They would go with no plan at all, just to look for a better living. So it was a time of, it still is, very difficult. And I saw that it even helped those little kids. They would meditate at the beginning with me in the office, but then they would practice it by themselves, and it really helped them. Even with autistic kids. I did it during now the confinement. I had 2 or 3 patients that the only way that they could feel at ease with all this change of routines was by meditating. So it's part of my life. I don't even see it like something extra that I do. It's part of my life now. And I've been so happy to transmit it to everyone I know, and I know that would be interested in, as we say at the community, it's a gift. And it definitely is. Definitely is.
And listening to you, it makes me think that the meditation is part of your life, but your life has many, many or different aspects. I mean, your life involves political action. I mean, going out onto the street, which is a sign of desperation, but also of deep sense of engagement with the social and political situation. You're not meditating in a cave to get to escape.
No, I was very active.
So that was part of your life, and then part of your life is professional, working with children in distress, and very young children, as you just described, and your own challenges as a mother, seeing your children grow up and leave home and so on. So it sounds as if meditation has come into a very central place in your life.
Definitely. Now I have both my kids abroad. I mean, it's not only one, they're both there. And the situation is getting even worse. We're not going to protest anymore because it got too dangerous. But the only way I say to resist all this is just, to give this gift to everyone. And this is something we've been talking about, that even with this pandemic and this confinement, the community has been growing. Even here in Venezuela, where we don't have the possibility, for example, to meet. As I told you, we met for the first time in a year and a half yesterday. Why that? Sometimes there is no electricity. Some of the community don't have the means. One of them doesn't even have a smartphone to join us via Zoom. Others cannot afford paying just, to be on Zoom once a week and meditate. So the situation is even worse now in terms of this part of the economic part and the suffering. People's, they're really suffering. But something that we all agreed, and it was one after the other. We were about 8 people reunited yesterday, and they all said the same thing. Contrary to what you would think, that with all these difficult times and all these calamities that we've been surviving, let's say it that way, we never felt alone. We never felt alone. We really feel, you know, we're all together in this, even when sometimes we just communicate. They do some meditation sessions. I didn't know that, Father Laurence. They do it with WhatsApp. One of them, you know what he does? He puts the bell and he stays on WhatsApp for 20 minutes and then he rings the bell again. And that's the way they meditate, on WhatsApp.
Without the video, just the audio.
Without video, no, it's on WhatsApp, on the cell phone. Yeah. I mean, they managed, you know, to create all these means to stay together. And it's amazing. And another one said that with the community, well, this is my testimony as well. Probably we didn't communicate here in Venezuela, but I've never been much in contact with the rest of the continent, like in confinement. I mean, we meet with the Mexicans, with the Argentinians, with the people from Uruguay, from Paraguay on a weekly basis, meditating with children on a weekly basis. People I never knew, I never met in person, but if I see them today, I can hug them as my family. I mean, we became a real family. It's been a really fascinating experience. It's all the gift of meditation, really.
Well, as you know, the whole of the community is an expression of this conviction of John Mayne's meditation creates community. And I think community creates, that kind of community can create a society or contribute to a healing in society and to resilience. And I was going to ask you, given the tragedy of this injustice, of this oppression, of this violence that the Venezuelan people, who are a gentle people, and one Venezuelan when I was there said to me, well, we're too gentle, actually. That's why these brutes, have been able to oppress us. But that with all of that to deal with, and the upheaval of one's emotions and one's fears and so on, it sounds to me as if you have found together, and now you're experiencing it collectively as the coordinator. You're in touch with more individual meditators. So how do you deal with this natural feeling of anger and I mean, rage? It must be, you must feel at times to have gone out on the streets and swallowed tear gas. You know what it is to want to protest against injustice, like the prophets, in the Old Testament and down the ages. What's the connection there? How does meditation help you to deal with that overwhelming sense of either anger or perhaps despair?
Yeah, it's been changing with time. Of course, it was very difficult to be, let's say, in peace while meditating with all those feelings of desperation, not being able to do anything, but to go and protest, and that's it. But with time, of course, there are no more protests anymore. We still feel anger. I still feel anger, particularly to see now with this pandemic, colleagues dying because they don't have the vaccine, and the government is not even thinking of bringing the vaccine here. They took the vaccine as a political weapon. The only people who can get vaccinated are those who have this, I told you that card that it says they are with the gun. Yeah.
The party card. Yeah.
It's perversion, really. It's something really to play with people's health. But I have to say that with time, I've been realizing that, well, this is the place where I am now. There isn't much things that I can do about it, but to be compassionate, to keep doing what I know what to do better is to help others, to whatever, be there for those who need me, even my neighbors. Even my neighbors, sometimes I have to go to do something with them, or even have meditation sessions sometimes with them. Those who want, invite them over, or but not in my house, but be you know, in the garden or something. Now that we can do it, sometimes we do it. But it's given me, meditation, it's given me this peace that I need in order to see with different eyes, even those that I could consider our enemies. I can think of them as people that are suffering them by themselves too. That there is something in them, probably something that they lived, they were treated that way, and this is the only way they know how to do things. And I would love at some point to get to love them, but I don't know whether this is going to be possible. But at least I think that I'm in a different level now. I can feel compassion for them, which for me is something huge. If you asked me 4 years ago, I wouldn't be answering this way. Really.
Well, what you describe is a reflection of the mind of Christ, I think. You know, Jesus on the cross, he didn't say, I forgive my enemies who are doing this to me. He said, Father, forgive them. So forgiveness isn't just a personal, individual exoneration, you know. It wells up from a place deeper than one's own hurt, perhaps, and deeper than one's own ego, which is understandably enraged. So people often say, I can't forgive, but it's the ego that can't forgive. But there's a deeper source of love within ourselves, which really surprises us. I mean, that's what you just described, really. It was being surprised.
Yeah, yeah. And even myself, I feel surprised when I'm thinking of someone that I know he's done so much evil to our population, to Venezuelans. Poor thing. I mean, I wonder what happened to him or what happened to her. Why is she talking like this? Why is she behaving like this? I never thought that I would do something like this. I would never. I mean, I surprise myself saying these things, even to pray for them. Something that I never thought I would do, but and all I think is because meditation gives me a different view of life itself. In terms of, you know, I can't be resentful. There are things I cannot change, but there are a few things that I can do in order to get things better, or people feel better, or whatever, this vocation of service that probably I was born with, to use it, you know, to make a difference in this world. And my world is now, you know, my neighbors, my patient, my fellow Venezuelans, my colleagues. And the ego is something that I've been dealing with really, really hardly lately. And meditation has helped me a lot with it. Since I'm leading now the Venezuelan Pediatric Society. I was elected a few months ago in January to be the president of the society. If you want to see egos, you have to meet some people, ex-presidents or people that were interested in this post, whatever. I never looked for it. They just proposed to me. I said, well, why not? If this is the way I can help children all over the country, why not? And probably people would think that this president, she's, you know, it's such an insignificant role she's making. It's something that I'm consciously working on it, because when they give you this etiquette, that you're a president of something. You think of yourself that you have to be all the time talking, you have to be all the time in pictures, you have to be all the time giving talks, lectures, meeting with people. I'm surprised. No one talk till now from January, and I'm doing it, I'm really consciously working on it. We work as a team, and people are surprised, say, why did you say? I said, no, let's all of us have our opinions taken into account. It's not mine. No, but you're the president. Yes, but I'm part of the team. People are so used to the way this authority is the one that has the last word. And I'm surprised, Father Laurence, with the results. At 3 months, people are already saying how pleased they are with this different management of the society. And not only that, on Sunday, I don't know, somebody told them that I was meditating. And on Sunday, we had a pediatric community meditation session. And they all joined to meditate together. I was doing it, I said, oh my God, I mean, where this is gonna end up. Pediatricians, I do have a group of meditation. It's only pediatricians meditating, but now we did it nationally. So everybody was in this talk, and they asked about Christian meditation with children. I mean, they're all interested in this. So I think God knows what he's doing. I think this is something that probably I wasn't in my plans at all. I never thought of doing this, but things come to my life this way, and I'm very grateful to be, able to do these things through meditation.
Well, certainly it's happening. Are you the first woman chairman, president?
Well, I'm the third in 82 years. 82 years. I'm the third one.
Well, you can't expect change to happen overnight.
Yeah, of course. And I all the board that are accompanying me, I chose them. They're all women. They're all women. So it's pretty revolutionary, actually.
Well, it sounds as if the revolution that we're waiting for in Venezuela is happening in another zone at the moment, but it will filter through.
Exactly.
I mean, one can't say that meditation solves all one's problems overnight or changes the heart of dictators or oppressors or corrupt leaders. But I think what you're saying to me does give some insight into how meditation, moves from the level of personal transformation to the level of social change. I mean, that's happened to you even in your professional life, having opened up this interest and, in your professional body of your colleagues to be able to share meditation at their request, I mean, that's how perhaps change does happen from the grassroots up. Do you think?
Yes, definitely. I started this group with pediatricians probably, it was a year ago. It was our anniversary actually on Sunday. We were like 4, and on Sunday, there were more than 16 that wanted to join us with this group now. I don't know how many will stay, of course. It all starts like that. But it definitely makes a change, not only in ourselves, but in all our surroundings, in society, and everything, I think, changes. Our way of living. Even though we live in this tragedy, as I told you, it's not that we get, because sometimes I question myself, I say, is it that I'm getting used to it? Like people, when they're mistreated, they can get used to it. You get adapted to that mistreatment. But I don't think that is the answer. I think it definitely changes us in the way that even in the middle of this crisis, you can feel joyful for all these blessings that you get into your life. when you have this community, because it's really a blessing.
Well, what
And I wish, well, once you know this, you wish you can vaccinate everyone with the meditation and tell them that this is something that's going to really change your life for good, even though you're living here in this chaos.
When you said that the meditator said to you yesterday, as they met for the first time for a long time,
Yeah.
That we never felt alone, even though they were not in direct communication very much with each other. I mean, that may be the key, because when tragedy strikes, or we are afflicted, or we're humiliated, or you know, and we're made to feel powerless, you know, by oppressors or by circumstances. You know, one of the consequences of that is this feeling of isolation and exclusion and humiliation. But this experience of community that grows in the silence of meditation seems to be a vaccine against that.
Exactly.
And therefore allows one, as you manifestly are, to be strong even in the midst of a crisis.
Yeah, thanks God. Thanks God it is, definitely.
So,
And unanimously, for example, for example, one of them said yesterday, one of our fellows from the community said that alone, she was never alone, but then she said in confinement, we grew as a community, we grew up as a community. I mean, she said that sometimes she was connected to 4 different retreats simultaneously. One in Bonvo, another one from Mexico, the Bonvo translated into Spanish from the Mexicans that are doing a really wonderful job with the Latin American community. I have to say this. We owe them all the masses that they've been translating every Sunday, all the retreats that with you, the talks. They've been doing a wonderful job, the Mexican community, with all Latin America. And I think this is something that gave us even a broader sense of community, not only Venezuelans. Now we don't talk about us as Venezuelans, we talk about us as Latin Americans, which is something even bigger than the Venezuelan society now. We meet, as I told you, on Sundays. We meet on Saturdays, those who meditate with children, although we're not doing it now in Venezuela, but we tell them every time we meet, that is every Saturday, we tell them that we feel our dreams are being fulfilled by seeing them doing all what they do at schools with children. I mean, to that point, we're connected, that we're really feel this brotherhood, even though we never met in person, but we do plans together. We participate in talks. Every country is invited on a different Saturday to give a talk about meditation with children. It's been such a wonderful experience. I mean, we've been all reunited. We've never felt like we were all together as in these times of crisis and in confinement.
Beautiful to hear. I remember the last time I was in Venezuela, we went to visit the Fe y Alegría school.
Exactly.
Fe y Alegría schools, just for people who are watching, is a network of schools founded by a Jesuit, I think 50 years or so ago.
Yes, it's very Jesuit.
And their motto is the best education for the poorest children. And our schools start where the road ends, so at the end.
Exactly.
And I was so moved when I was there by the spirit of the school itself and the dedication of the teachers, and especially the way in which both the teachers and the children had understood and embraced the practice of meditation so simply and enthusiastically. As it was something natural, which it is, but also as if it was just obvious, something that they should do. I mean, that's
Exactly. We had more than 400 children meditating at that time. When you came, I was with you during that trip.
yeah.
They were more than 400 children. We lost track of them. We tried to connect with them and tell the teachers and the headmasters of those schools to participate in the Saturday's meeting that we have. But it's been very difficult for them to connect. As you said, they're very poor schools. Most of them don't even have internet. So I wonder what kind of education they're getting. I guess none. Because what I've been told, and I've read about it, is that Alegría are more dedicated now to feed their children, to feed their students.
Yes.
And not to meditate or educate.
Yeah.
To that point.
We were trying, actually, as a community, we were trying to think of ways in which we could get some funds and send it just for the food to the children, not for books so much, but that was a very difficult challenge in itself. What you know, your work with children and children who are, as you say, suffering mental suffering because of the circumstances in which they and their families are living. How has that affected you? Because, as you said, it gives, I suppose, it gives you a very clear focus because of the skills you have and the training you've had to be able to serve and to help and to heal. But how has that affected you, being in touch with suffering of these very young children? And how has meditation supported you in that? Because it could be overwhelming too, couldn't it?
It is. Well, I always say, thanks God I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but I wouldn't be able to do what I do because I cry with them. I cry with them. Yeah, this is something you cannot do. It's not allowed if I was a psychiatrist or a psychologist. I cry with them. I hug them. I mean, I do what I would do with my own kids because it's so hard to see a 5, 6, 7, 8 years old suffering as an adult would suffer. I mean, when we talk of panic attack in an 8-year-old, you have to see what that is. That is I would say, like the maximum level of anxiety someone can have, that he gets a panic attack. And they feel completely helpless, in particular when both parents are as anxious as this young child is, that they don't know how to help him. Yeah. So it's very sad. And I have no problem in making my emotions to be, you know, in front of everyone. I don't care about that. I'm very happy to share and feel with them. And I think this is something that has helped me and them to be in touch and to be connected. And reason why I think when I suggest to meditate, they accept it and they do it wonderfully. And as you know, I end up learning from them the majority of the times, especially when they're very young. Because it's so nice to hear from them, their own experience, when they say that, you know, you've heard it before, that they're in peace, that they don't feel lonely anymore because they know that God is with them all the time. I mean, these are things that we've heard, we've read about, but when you see it in front of you with someone that you know so little and suffering, and he or she will tell you with her own words what she's really experiencing when she's meditating. I mean, this is priceless.
Yeah, I know.
This is priceless.
We were having a John Main seminar led by a great academic scholar of Western Christian mysticism some years ago, and I gave him some of the personal witness or the personal writings or sayings of children in their experience of meditation, which some people had collected. I'm sure there was some maybe from Venezuela as well. And he read them with absolute fascination and attention. And he said, what these children are experiencing and describing is what the great mystics of
Exactly.
have
Exactly.
experienced and are describing. But he said, and there's a quality, of course, in what the children are saying of absolute simplicity and purity as well. So I think that's, I mean, and that when one does describe or try to describe with a pure heart what you are feeling about God's presence in you, that is a blessing to everybody around you. It's a blessing to you as their
Of
doctor.
course. Yeah. Wow. Of course. Of course.
Well, Tamara, I want to thank you for sharing this with us, because what you have said, and I think as people listen to it, is a blessing to the whole of our community to know what you're doing and what the Venezuelan meditation community is passing through with deep faith and dignity and strength and energy and joy. I mean, there's great joy also in what you're describing, and I hope it's been helpful to you to be able to talk about it, knowing that this will connect people in a special way, in a more direct way, perhaps, to what you were passing through and going through in Venezuela at this time. So, what the meditators said to you, we never felt alone. I hope you could also feel that in relationship to the world community and the meditation community, which does feel, and at times I think to some degree we feel the same frustration and helplessness and powerlessness as you, but not on anything like the same scale. But I can imagine what it must feel like to be so powerless. And yet you found a power of a different kind within yourself and in the community. What is that power?
Love. I don't have to think about it. It's love. And that's it. It's love. That's what I feel.
Well, that's a good point for us to begin, to end, but to begin to, all of us, I hope, to hold you in Venezuela, the community, and the whole of Venezuelan people more consciously and more emotionally and more sympathetically in our hearts. And is there anything you would like to say to the other meditators around the world?
Yeah, well, I would like to ask them for a little favor and on behalf of Venezuelans, that to keep us in your prayers. We know that this is going to change at some point, but we do need you to pray for us. Don't forget us. And that we're all in this together.
Yes.
Yeah, and we feel it that way.
Yeah. And I think it's always a painful paradox to see that in times of crisis and oppression or tragedy, something is being formed in the fire of suffering, which is going to bear fruit later. And I think there's a wisdom that has come through what you're talking about, and that the Venezuelan meditators are obviously feeling. It's as if that's being shaped and formed at a deep level in the furnace of the crisis. But the time will come when you will share that with other parts of the world in ways yet to be revealed.
Hopefully.
But in the meantime, thank you very much. It's been it's been wonderful to connect, and we'll continue to stay in touch and think of new ways in which we can express this feeling of deep connection that we have with the Venezuelan community. Thank you, Tamara.
Thank you, Father Laurence.